Joining me now to discuss that is House Speaker Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for being here. I do want to get to the shutdown in just a second, but I also want to quickly talk about something that the president said, pretty remarkable, actually, that he said. He said that he instructed the Pentagon to begin testing nuclear weapons again for the first time in more than 30 years. It hasn't happened since 1992. Have you been briefed about this? Are you okay with this move?
I haven't spoken to the president in about 48 hours, so I did not know he was going to say that, but I think it is an important thing for him to have said. Why? Because we have demonstrated, even in recent days, that the only way to maintain peace is to show strength. It's peace through strength. That's one of our principles that we try to advance here every day. We learned that during the Cold War. We know it's certainly true now. America is the last great superpower in the world. We do not have a peer-to-peer adversary. China is trying to become that. But in this dynamic that we have now on the world stage, America has to show strength. And I think it is an obvious and logical thing to ensure that our weapon systems work as they're designed. I have a big Air Force base in my district. Barksdale Air Force Base is the home of the Global Strike Command. 2/3 of the nuclear triad commanded there. And our airmen and all of those involved in our nuclear arsenal need to be well practiced, and they certainly are. They're ready and prepared, but we need to make sure that we know that we can maintain our strength. And I think that's an obvious and logical thing to do.
Okay, let's turn now to the now 30-day government shutdown. We are learning some new details about a series of negotiations that are underway across the Capitol from where you are in the Senate. And one of the options that they're discussing is reopening a significant part of the government, including the Department of Agriculture, through next year. Now, that would alleviate the pain of tens of millions of Americans who are about to feel a lot of pain and hunger because the SNAP benefits are going to expire in just 2 days on Saturday. Would you accept a partial government funding deal?
Well, there are a handful of moderate centrist Democrats left in the U.S. Senate, and they are in panic mode right now because they recognize that their votes have been the reason that all this pain and hardship is being experienced by the American people. We're on day 30, as you said. They have voted now 14 times to impose this hardship and pain. They're doing it for political purposes, as I've explained in my press conference every single morning. They're worried about the radical left base that is rising in the Democrat Party, and some of the leading politicians here, including the two New Yorkers who run both chambers, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, are afraid they're going to get a challenge from a Mamdani-like candidate. And so they have to show a fight, and that's what this is about. It is senseless. It is unprecedented. This is the first time in U.S. history that any party has had the audacity to close down the government for a simple CR, a clean, nonpartisan measure. So here's the answer. We cannot deviate from the number one job and responsibility of the U.S. Congress, and that is to keep the government in operation for the people. And the simplest way to fix this is to reopen all of the government, not just parts of it, so they can alleviate a little bit of the pain that they themselves are causing. Let's alleviate all the pain and get that done. They have no logical argument why they would not do that, and that's why we're so angry and frustrated about this.
So that's a no? You would not support what the moderates in Republicans and Democrats are talking to one another in the Senate to at least partially reopen, like the Department of Agriculture, which would make sure that tens of millions of people would be able to eat, those people who rely on government funding?
There's a very important point that everyone needs to understand. Republicans have voted 14 times to provide SNAP benefits, military pay, veterans health services, nutrition assistance for young women, the disabled, the elderly. We've done it 14 times. The Democrats have voted 14 times to block all of that. We need to do all of those things simultaneously. You have to pay the troops. You have to pay Border Patrol, TSA agents and air traffic controllers and everybody else. All of these things need to be done, not just part of them. The White House has bent over backwards to try to mitigate, reduce the pain as much as possible. We've gotten troops paid for part of October. Those funds are running out. We got WIC funding, Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Programs funded, thanks to the president, but that money's running out as well. This is very real. The pain is very serious, and Democrats are playing games with this.
Well, and by the way, no one's disputing what you just said, that you have voted, or the Senate has voted after you passed, a clean CR. But the reality is that this has been a stalemate for 30 days, and it's not just Democrats. You also have one of the most conservative Republican senators, Josh Hawley, who says, at least please move money around to feed people. Why not consider that?
Because if you deviate from the goal of reopening the entire government, Chuck Schumer and the radicals over there will continue to play games with people's paychecks, their livelihoods. And if you do just part of this, it will reduce the pressure for them to do all of it, to do their basic job, and that is reopen the government. This is very real and very serious, and they can end it today. They can do it right now. All they have to do is, we just need 5 more Democrats in the Senate to help us reach the 60-vote threshold. We don't have enough Republicans to do the right thing on our own. We need them to do the right thing.
Does it give you some hope that, regardless of the reason they're doing it, that there are Republicans and Democrats talking to one another right now about finding some way out of this?
Sure. I think they're responding to the public pressure, and we need more of that. If you're listening to this interview, you need to call the Democrat senators and tell them to do the right thing. Also, the unions, the largest unions of federal employees, over 800,000, have come out and said, please, Democrats, stop the nonsense and vote for the clean, nonpartisan CR. It's so important to remember, we don't have any Republican or conservative priorities on the CR. These are Biden-level policies and spending that we're just asking them to extend for several more weeks so we can finish the work of Congress in the appropriations process. That's it. It's all a game so they can show a fight against Republicans. That's clearly what's going on, and they can end it immediately.
So just to put a pin in it, all or nothing. Full government funding for the entire government, or you're not going to bring anything up on the House floor, even if the Senate finds some sort of compromise?
Yeah, because they're trying to play games, and we are not interested in doing that. That's the position of the leadership, Republican leadership in the Senate and the House and the White House as well. We have to do well and right by all the American people. Yeah, we need to do it now.
Can I just ask you, because you mentioned that you all have found ways to pay members of the military, which, you know, people understand, and WIC, which people also understand. But why are you drawing the line now on 40 million Americans who literally will not be able to eat without government assistance? Why not help them in the short term? And why are they?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait. I reject the premise of the question. I'm not drawing the line. The Democrats are drawing the line. If we had a contingency fund that we could use, that would be done. The White House has demonstrated over and over, the executive branch, all the cabinet secretaries are doing everything they can to mitigate and reduce the pain. But that ability is not available for SNAP because the contingency fund had to be prior authorized by Congress.
Well, they say that that's not what the law shows.
No,
and
well, that's ridiculous.
Certainly the administration has shown that they are very happy to move money around without Congress saying yes.
No, Dennis, they're just simply not true. It's already been adjudicated. When they tried to do that in the first Trump administration, the GAO, for example, determined it was illegal. And the Democrats, when they voted against the Clean CR, they voted down that possibility. So it is not legally available to do that. Believe me, the White House has already demonstrated over and over they would use it if it was available. It's not. The Democrats have put the American people in this crisis, and they are the ones that have the power to end it. They could do it today if they feel enough pressure to do so.
The president is on Air Force One right now. He's headed home. You and other Republican leaders, I think it's fair to say, have been, okay with him not getting very involved. But is it now time for him to sit down with you and other leaders and try to work this out? Will there be a meeting, forgive me, in the next few days now that he's going to be back?
Well, let me correct that question as well. The president was deeply involved. Remember, he brought in the Democrat leaders and to meet with us in the White House, in the Oval Office, before all this began. And he urged Schumer and Hakeem to keep the government open, and they rejected it. The president has been involved, and he has told them that he will talk about any issue under the sun as soon as they do the obvious thing to reopen the government first. That is our job here. We're going to wrestle over all these policy questions.
He could make a deal on this in 5 minutes.
He can't. There's no deal to be made. Remember, the CR does not have Trump or Republican priorities on it at all. There's nothing we can pull off of that to make it more palatable for the Democrats. I would have done that a long time ago. But we operated in good faith from day one. Back in September, on September 19th, we voted for a clean, nonpartisan CR. It's only 24 pages in length. It just says keep everything at status quo so we can all finish our jobs here. The Democrats rejected it for the first time in their lives. They did the same type of CR, voted for it 13 times during the Biden administration. The only reason they did it right now is because they're afraid of the rise of the far-left Marxists in their party, and they have to show them that they're going to fight. And real people are hurting during this political game, this showmanship. Chuck Schumer is trying to save his own political hide in New York, And he's willing to put the American people through this great hardship for that reason alone, and it is shocking to us.
I want to ask about something that has been going on for a long time, or maybe not been going on for a long time in the House of Representatives, and that is Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva has not yet been sworn in. Today's her birthday. She was elected on September 23rd. She's now the longest elected member of Congress she's waited the longest to be sworn in of anybody. You say you're going to swear her in when the government reopens, but you've sworn in Republicans during pro forma sessions before.
Different times, different circumstances. No, Rep-elect Grijalva is also a victim of the Democrats' political games. As soon as we return to regular legislative session, we will do that. I'm following the Pelosi precedent, as I've explained on CNN many times. With similar circumstances, I can name you the members of Congress who were elected in special elections, and she waited, like, for example, when two were elected during an August recess, she waited till Congress came back into regular session to administer the oath. That's a logical thing to do. We will do the same thing. We haven't had floor business now as long as the government has been shut down. As soon as we return to the regular legislative session, we, of course, will give her the oath. And in the meantime, by the way, she has every ability to do everything that every other member is doing. She has keys to her office. She has 16 employees. She has an ID badge to get into the building. She can work on constituent services. She can do all those things. There's no reason for her not to. And if she isn't, she's the one who has to answer for that, not us. I'm going to do exactly the right and traditional thing, and we're going to give her the oath as soon as we get back to session. That can happen tomorrow if the Democrats will get busy.
Just to put a button on this, if she were a Republican, she would be in the same position. You would not be swearing her in?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because we're not here in session. That's the whole point. This has happened to Republicans and Democrats under Nancy Pelosi and now under Speaker Johnson. This is the way the institution works.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.